Alright folks, I'm back once again. It's time for episode number 96 of Video Game Reviews. And we finished covering the Paper Mario series in our last episode. And this time around, we are going to be covering PacMan Party for the Nintendo Wii. Now, of course, as the title suggests, Pac-Man and, of course, the Pac-Man ghosts are in this game. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called PacMan Party. Now, what? But anyway, I have played this game, and it is a lot of fun. Now, for those who don't know how this game works, we're going to explain. Now, there's two modes in this game. There's a story mode, which is known as Mr. Cookie's Recipe, and there's also a party mode. In story mode, you have to retrieve a stolen cookie recipe from Pac-Man's enemies, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, by going to a location called the Mirage Oasis and returning the recipe to its rightful owner, Mr. Cookie. This game, of course, came out in 2010 for the Nintendo Wii. There is also a Nintendo DS 3DS version, which was released the year after that, in November of 2011. And this game was released to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the popular Pac-Man game. Now, as mentioned, I already went over the story mode, which is known as Mr. Cookie's Recipe. Now, the party mode has over 50 mini-games. When those are played, it allows you to unlock bonus content. It also has a classic games mode where you can play 3 classic Namco arcade games, including Galaga, Dig Dug, and of course the classic Pac-Man game. Now, the 3DS version of this game lets you do link up a 4-player with only 1 cartridge. Now, the Wii version, though, has 2 extra boards that the 3DS version doesn't have. More than likely because you can't fit as much onto a 3DS cartridge as you can onto an actual disc. As a result of this, I consider the Wii version to be the more complete version of this particular game. Now, there's also a scaled-down version of this game that's on Windows Phone that has 2D graphics and has 10 mini-games. Unfortunately, that version lacks the classic games mode that the Wii 3DS versions have. However, all 3 of the games from that mode have their own separate releases on Windows Phone. Anyway, now, in the game, you start at Mr. Cookie's factory with 1,000 cookies. The idea is to collect a number of cookies and get to the cookie factory in order to win. Now, when a player goes to an empty space or empty castle, then the player can build a castle or claim it. When players go to their own castle, they get cookies depending on the level. Now, a player that lands on an opponent's castle will battle in a mini-game for attack and defense, and if the attacking player wins, then the player takes the opponent's castle. If the defending player wins, then the attack player or players lose a number of cookies depending on the level of the castle at the time. If a player lands on the Millionaire Manor, something good might happen. And if a player lands on a Terror Tent, something bad may happen. If a player lands on Dr. Libo's lab, the player might go into a different space. And should the player pass an exclamation point space enough times and something major happens, and then the player will play a boss minigame. You can then return to the cookie factory to get a cookie bonus, along with a castle bonus for each castle that you gain. So, yeah, it's a pretty decent game. It's kind of similar to Mario Party, although I think Mario Party's a lot better. That's just my opinion, though. Alright, well, anyway, that is it for this episode of Video Game Reviews. Our next episode will cover another Nintendo Wii game, and it will be the first of 2 Poke Park games. That game, in this case, being Poke Park Wii, Pikachu's Adventure. We'll cover that game in the next episode. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.